Good morning, everyone. We have with you today, welcome to the Housing Assistance Workshop Series. We are so happy to have you. Information and Resource Series. We are excited about our topic today. Javon Clark, could you kindly unmute? We are excited to welcome our Assistant Director of Housing Assistance Services. Adapts very best. So we are going to give her the opportunity to introduce herself, talk to you a little bit about our housing assistance services, which includes a residential alternative of living independently. We have a chat set up and interpretation options available. Please refer to the chat for all questions that you have. We have somebody that's monitoring, will respond to you. If we don't have the answer today, we will get the answer. We will take your information and we will most certainly get back to you with a response within hopefully 24 hours. Again, we really and truly appreciate your time and attendance today. And we hope that this presentation brings you some new information, some new opportunities for independent living. And I'm going to hand it on over to Javon. Take it away.
Hi, good afternoon. Well, good morning, sorry. I'm just gonna start by sharing my screen. So again, my name is Javon Clark. I'm the Assistant Housing, Director of Housing Subsidy, and I'm just gonna be going through a few slides of information regarding housing subsidy and how you can obtain it, and just going over a little bit more about housing subsidy. So the first slide goes over what is OPWDD's housing subsidy. The OPWDD housing subsidy is a rental assistance intended to support individuals who are eligible to live independently in the community and who are willing or will be financially legally responsible for their own unit. Individuals control their own housing and related decisions such as who they live with. Individuals also choose to live on their own, or they can live with others, or such as like a caregiver or something, or someone like that. So what is living independently? So living independently can be defined as if you live by yourself in an apartment or home, you can receive support services to help you manage your home and daily activities. You can participate in paid work, day program, community rehabilitation, or volunteer or learn how to manage alone in the community. You can also live with an unrelated person who you're choosing to call a living caregiver, who can help you in your daily life and make sure that you're safe while receiving room and board. A paid neighbor can help you when you need assistance with a particular task. They're on call. They can help you occasionally because of a problem or task you can't manage on your own. If your home is not set up to meet the needs, you can receive support for environmental modification or EMODs. These can physically change made for your home to help you live safely in your home and get out of the community, such as wheelchair ramps. So again, living independently. Oh, I'm sorry. Also, if you have any questions, you can direct it to the chat and then we can get back to it at the end of the presentation. But yeah, living independently, again, go back to the first slide. Again, living independently. So what living independently means, you can live by yourself, but you can also you can also live with a roommate, someone who shares half of the rent with you or shares another bedroom with you. You can also live with again, a living caregiver, someone who supports you on a daily basis or whenever you need help. So you can live by yourself, which I guess would be independent, but you can also have someone there that's there to not fully just support you, but they're there as a side, if that makes sense. Um, okay, so now we're gonna go over who is eligible. So who's eligible for OPWDD services? So you have, in order to be eligible for OPWDD services, you need an active Medicaid. You have to be an active Medicaid participant over the age of 18. Review sorry. Review of income and assets, have applied for all benefits that may be eligible for, so all the benefits such as like SSI, food stamps, HEAP, social service shelter program payments, housing choice vouchers, Section 8, in order to be eligible. So it's kind of split up. So if you have Section 8 or those type of vouchers, you're not eligible for this program. So if you have Section 8, City FEPS, or any like HRA type of assistance like that, you're not eligible for the program. But you, income wise, you can have SSI, you can have food stamps, you can have HEAP. Those all help with anything helping paying your portion of the rent. Um live in a residence of your choice in a community where you are supported and are safe. Have or will have appropriate services and safeguards to meet their needs in a non-certified community housing as documented in their life plan. Be able to live independently without receiving support services that exceed the individual's authority service amount. Not be receiving another housing subsidy, again, such as HUD or Section 8. Have sufficient resources to pay for basic essentials after housing costs. So basically so after you pay your rent, you need to be able to still support yourself. For example, if you're someone who doesn't have food stamps, you still need to be able to support yourself financially with getting groceries, household stuff, toiletries and things like that. Clothes, you still need to be able to support yourself in that way. So how do you get started? So you start with your care manager. However, a care manager is not required for an individual to be eligible for OPWDD's housing subsidy. So if an individual does not have a care manager, the individual can initiate the housing subsidy application process by working with an housing subsidy provider agency or the DDRO. Applying for OPWDD's housing subsidy at ADAPT. So if you're gonna apply for these services at ADAPT, first you have to submit and complete a housing subsidy application and all supporting documents. Applications and supporting documents are currently accepted via email, mail, fax, directly to ADAPT's Housing Subsidy Assistance Director, which would be me. Now these support documents would be proof that you've obtained an application for all federal, state, or local money for housing before asking for OPWDD services. So basically proof that you've applied for Section 8 and you got turned down, HUD and you've got turned down, City FEPS and you've got turned down, You have to have a current psychological within 3 years of testing, a current social psychosocial within 3 years of the developmental history, a current physical, a current life plan, current Medicaid card, 2 recent pay stubs if you're working, income verifications such as social security ward letter for each person living, so each roommate. So if it's you and another roommate, then you would need the ward letters. A current lease. The name of the applicant must be on the lease to apply. Developmental disability profile 2, provided by a care manager. Letter from professional, can be care manager, administration, social worker, that clearly explains your recent circumstances that warrants the need for housing subsidy. So for this slide, we're gonna go over the provider agency's responsibilities. So for example, if you were to get your housing subsidy from ADAPT. So my job would be to inspect the housing unit to make sure it's safe and it lives up to the OPWDD standards. Review the lease with tenant, which that's important because you don't want to just sign away on a lease and not be sure what's going on in the lease. So we're able to assist in reading over the lease, making sure everything makes sense in the lease before you sign off on the lease. Collecting documentation pertaining to housing units. So documentations such as so yearly we have to collect your lease, income, if you receive SNAP. We do an annual walkthrough every year of the apartment to make sure everything is up to par in the apartment. And a participation agreement form. Ensure that rent checks are processed and delivered. So basically make sure that the checks are received by your management. Assist family with setting up moves into new homes, utilities and cable. Assist with maintenance concerns. Communicate and negotiate and execute the lease with landlord. Also assist the tenant along, I'm sorry, 1 second. Assist the tenant along with their circle of support with meeting housing responsibilities, assist in maintaining tenancy, ensure all OPWDD guidelines are adhered to eliminate risk of having to relocate or risk of losing your housing subsidy. So again, ensure that all OPWDD guidance are adhered to eliminate risk of having to relocate or risk of losing your housing subsidy. That's important. To know that we just need to abide by OPWDD's rules and regulation. That's important if you want to be in the program. Become a member of your circle of support once you are approved by OPWDD's, working with a care manager and team on your housing plan and forgetting to keep your place. Taking care of and helping you with any documents needed to receive your OPWDD subsidy. Okay. Every year, making sure that your housing unit is safe and helping with any changes that need to be made to your housing unit to keep it safe. For example, if something in your bathroom is broken and it hinders you using the bathroom, like the door is falling off, or anything in like that's hazardous to you, um, is something that we can work on with the landlord. Helping you to prevent and resolve problems with others, such as landlord, roommates, or other people living in your building, which could make you lose your housing unit. Working with your care manager and team to keep your housing unit. Filling out the OPWDD QA checklist and giving it to OPWD no later than 7 days after your housing subsidy approval. Okay, so once you're in, you get your approval and you're in the program, the amount of your housing subsidy will be decided using a formula that considers the county you live in and the number of people who are living in your home and the number of bedrooms you have in your home. You're expected to contribute a percentage of your income towards your housing costs. So for this, um, so your rent is based off of 30% of your income. So the amount of your rent comes from your budget. So every year you have to complete a new budget with, again, it goes with your income and any other supporting documents. So they use your income and they formulate using the amount of people, how many bedrooms you have, how many people are in the unit that work, and things of that nature, and they formulate how much you would pay based off of 30% of that. Okay, so again, once you're approved, you usually get a transition stipend to help cover expenses. So the transition stipend is available as a one-time only request for up to $3,000 for non-recurring setups, expensive and household items necessary to establish a residence. Only one transition stipend request can be accommodated. Therefore, if an individual does not need or use the maximum amount at the time of application, they cannot request additional funds. To access an OPWDD state funding transition stipend, an individual must be eligible to receive OPWDD housing subsidy, not qualify for CTS, and not receive not have received an OPWD stipend before. OPWD transition stipend, allowable expenses. So once you receive the money, these are things you're allowed to spend the money on. So you can spend the money on moving expenses, setup fees, utility deposits, provided before individual moves in that are necessary for health and safety, furniture, window covering, rugs, and floor coverings, lamps, light bulbs, food preparation items, linens, and other items with prior approval from OPWDD. Now, things that you're not able to spend your transition stipend on are monthly rental or mortgage expenses, food, regular utility charges, cable, streaming, internet access, additional warranties and protection plans, what is expenses like television, computer, video games, and other items as determined by OPWDD. For your security deposit, in addition to your transition stipend, a one-time amount equivalent to the individual share of the month's rent or the maximum subsidy of the county, which is lower, may be requested for security deposit and or broker or related fees when moving into a housing unit. This request must be made by the DDRO at the same time as a transition stipend. A supplemental security deposit may be approved in the amount of the difference between the first security deposit and the new security deposit. If below its maximum amount allowable for the security deposit, the original security deposit is utilized at the discretion of the DDRO. Okay, so this goes over the annual recertification process. So like I said before, After you're in the program and you're all set up, every 12 months, you have to go over an annual recertification process, which basically it either increases or decreases your the amount that you pay for the year, depending on your income. So an individual must submit an annual renewal information to keep their OPWDD housing subsidy. A housing subsidy quality assurance standard checklist is completed in person within the last 12 months by paid staff of OPWD approved provider. So the quality assurance checklist is just like a checklist of different things within the apartment that needs to be so they'll ask questions like is the apartment up to your standards? Is everything do you have like a refrigerator? And it's of like a long list of things that they'll ask to make sure everything is good in your apartment. Um so this checklist can be completed by a housing subsidy agent staff, a FI staff, support broker, care manager, or ComHab staff. Now, a participant agreement must be completed within the last 12 months. Participation agreement is just another documentation, just agreeing to the terms of being in the program. These things are usually read over with you every year. Usually get a new copy every year to keep. And then also you'll need a copy of your lease, meeting OPWDD's criteria, most recent life plan and safeguards, and staff action plans. So when it comes to the life plan, the housing subsidy agent has to be included in every life plan. So it's every 6 months, and we need to be invited to every life plan that an individual has. So we will coordinate with the care manager on when is a good time to have the life plan. Review of an individual's budget, which must include either evidence that the individual's budget template was reviewed, and if there's no changes, then the budget will remain the same, basically. A budget template that's completed within the last 12 months, and all supported documents, information for the budget template. So basically the budget, again, it fills out and it has your information, how much you're making, if you're making more, if you're making less. If you're making more, then you would let us know, because again, it affects your budget. If you're making less, you would let us know. Again, it affects your budget. So if you're making less, it's important that you let us know, because if you don't and you're not able to cover your rent, then you end up in arrears. We had it happen to an individual who at one point was living with someone and didn't let us, the person moved out and they didn't let us know, and they accumulated a high rent arrear, rental arrears, because they didn't let us know. And when they did let us know and we changed the budget, they were supposed to be paying significantly less than they were. Yes. Okay, and that's it for my presentation. We can go into questions and answers. If you have any questions that weren't answered in the chat, you can raise your hands and then we can go from there.
Hi,
And I
Giovanna.
also,
I'm actually gonna share some information of our housing
oh, I'm sorry.
program.
Okay, no
Yeah,
problem.
and then we can go ahead and
That's fine.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Michelle Jimenez Alvarez, and I'm just gonna talk to you about a little bit about our housing program here in the DAP Community Network. I'm one of the housing advocates that currently works for the program. Before I begin, I just want to tell you a little bit about our housing program in DAP Community Network. our program stars helping families who is eligible. If family living in New York City is eligible to do this. I'm sorry, just a minute. I'm just having a little bit of trouble with my presentation. I'm sorry. I just want to tell you a little bit about our program, our housing program. We have a housing letter, as you can see. If you want us, we can share the letter. This is what we cover. If you most housing concerns are low income, if people owe rent, rent arrears, if we have issues with a landlord, anything that has to do with repairs. We also assist a lot of the families to get apartments. That doesn't mean we have apartments for rent. What we do is we assist the families to find apartments according to their income. We help them fill out applications. We follow up with the applications. We follow up with the leasers, whoever is, whoever we have sent applications. We do not provide any financial assistance. Our main goal in our housing program is to advocate for the families. We have helped, families move into apartments. Now, when I personally talk to my families, when I start, the process, when they come to our program, we let them know that this is going to be a slow process. So from my experience, it takes about 2 years, 2.5 to get an apartment for our low income families. Now, who is eligible, for a program? Everybody, it has to be OPWDD eligibility, but the difference of our program is that if someone has OPWDD eligibility within the household, we are able to help the whole family, not just the individual. So if you want, if you're interested or you know of someone that needs assistance for our housing program, you can fill an application and complete it, send it to us. If you have a care manager, the care manager can contact us, and then we submit the application to the DDRO. And once it's approved, the housing, the family gets a housing advocate, and then we move along to work with the family. We also have bilingual people that speak Spanish. We also have launched our second housing newsletter in our program. And if you, I'm sure we have everybody's email, we can share the housing letters. You can see more about the program and what we do in this program. We also work with a housing ambassador line with HPD, which is that they call us in, just general questions about housing, where to find housing. One of the most popular ones is how to work the Housing Connect website, which is the lottery of New York City. It can be a little tricky when, you have to download papers, when you have to do, a lot of the process if you get selected. So if you have any questions about this program, you can put it in the chat. We will be sharing this recording. And also, if you have more questions about our programs for Adapt Community Network, you can always contact our Project Connect line, which is 877-827-2666. We will share that in the chat. So if you have any questions for Javan or for myself, you can you raise your hand or put it on the chat, and we're welcome to answer any questions. Does anybody have any questions for us?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
It's can an individual move into an apartment and have like the rent covered by the parent until they get the subsidy?
I believe that's a question for you, Jovan.
Yeah. Yes. Because with OPWDD, especially with our housing program, we're expecting you to the person that, an individual that's going to be in our program to be able to be financially stable for themselves for about 6 months. So if they if they have that support system where they have that help and someone can help cover their rent until they're fully approved, then yeah,
So
they can.
just a question about financially stable.
Oh,
An
I'm
individual
sorry.
who gets SSDI
Mhm.
and is not enough money to pay for an apartment. So most people are living with their family right now. So
Right.
I don't know what the definition of financially stable means. I mean, they have a stable income. It's not enough to support them to live independently. And
So
hence the
it's
reason why the subsidy. So is the parent allowed to, rather than wait 2.5 years to get an apartment, if there's an apartment available now
Right.
and they
mhm.
want to move in, and we have to wait a while till the subsidy kicks in,
Yes, that's
is
the ideal
allowed
situation.
to.
That's ideal, that they would have the support they need until the subsidy is approved. As Javon said, the subsidies usually, we will see a turnaround around the 6-month mark. We wish it was sooner. So we are not getting that funding stream until that kind of approval comes in. Once that approval comes in, though, the good news is that is the money that you're owed is backdated. So
Okay.
whatever the situation in terms of a contingency plan to ensure that the person can is subsidized in another way, unfortunately, then that would have to take place. So that's actually the ideal situation, is that they have somebody to assist them until they're approved, and then that person would get their funds back.
Right, because a landlord will not give you a lease unless you can already show them that you can pay. So you really can't even, this application process is, frankly backwards, because you need to show you can pay before you sign a lease. So now you're saying you have to show a lease and then you submit this. So now I understand that you should
Right.
anticipate 6 months of some other form of income or subsidy here besides the government subsidy to cover the individual until the OPWDD funds come through. Did I get that right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And that's a perfect situation if they have a network of support to kind of get them by just that period, that wait time.
Okay, that's great. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank
There's
you.
another question in the chat that says, does the pension income count against, against the income? Does the pension income count?
Javon,
Does the
do you happen to
pension?
know the
Does
answer to
the
that?
pension
I don't think we
income
have
count?
anybody with a pension. I would
Yeah, I'm
assume
not
any
sure.
income, any countable income counts, but that's something that we could ask. We could take that person's information and just ask OPWDD. We don't want to misinform anyone.
I'm not 100% sure about a pension, but it's a pen.
Diane?
Okay.
Hi. My
Hi.
question is, I have two questions. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
First thing, say if a person is already living in an IRA, and they had a roommate, but the roommate is no longer there, and they've been living by themselves for a while at the place. Now they're being offered an apartment. How does that apply with the subsidy or with your program?
They're being
Because
offered an
it basi-
apartment, like an independent living, non-certified site,
Well,
or is it an IRA?
it still would be in a IRA,
So then they wouldn't be eligible for a subsidy.
so they wouldn't be. So it's not eligible for the subsidy. Okay, all right, okay. Well, that kind of ends my second question, because I was going to say, what 30%? I mean, because you know that basically the SSI money is not all that much that they get, and plus, if they're working, say they're only working 20 hours a week, so you're only getting a certain amount. How does that 30% apply, and how do you determine if that person is eligible for your program?
Using the 30, so I mean, depending on what you're making, if it's a low amount, it'll just be 30% of a low amount. So it could be like 30%. Sometimes you can, like, if you're, I'm just gonna throw out numbers. Like, let's say you're making $1,000, you would see that your portion of the rent would be somewhere along the lines of maybe $200, or around that amount. So
Right.
it's usually balanced where it makes, so where it's not like you're not, if you're making a lot of money, then it's gonna be a bigger amount, if that makes sense.
Okay. Does
Right,
that include?
the less you make, the higher your subsidy. The more you
Yeah.
make, the lower your subsidy. So
It's kind of like
Okay.
the same thing as Section 8. Like, if you have a Section 8 apartment, you're only paying 30% of that of your rent.
Right, right. Well,
Right. So it's like that.
if the person doesn't have Section A, and like I said, if they're working, they get SSI, they get SSD, they get all of that. You understand? Plus they get part of Medicare. So all of that has to be included. All of that would have to be included in your package if they
Yeah,
were to submit any type of documents.
correct.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. I
No
appreciate
problem.
it. Okay.
Hi, I have a question. This is
Sure, I'm sure.
Laverne.
Hi,
My
Helena.
question
Hi,
is
Laverne.
regarding assisting the housing, the families with housing who has an individual in the household with OPWDD. How long is the process? I got a family comes to you. This is August whatever date, the 7th.
August
Can you give
7th.
us a timeline of that process? And you said something about that I missed about the lottery. Do they get to skip the line in the lottery with assistance or
No,
no?
no. So, when we have, when cases come into our program, every case is different. Every family has a different necessity. So if they're looking for housing, when I said it, it's a slow process. It can take about 1 to 2 years to find housing. And when I talked about the housing lottery, is through the Housing Connect lottery system in New York City. Now, you can apply today and get chosen next month. It's a lottery. So we don't have any authority or anything to do with that. It's as it comes. So we help manage, the applications, and if the family is chosen, if the family chooses for us to help them through the process, we help them in the process, because you have to submit a lot of documents. It's back and forth, advocating sometimes with the management companies. So that's what we assist with. But there is no, jumping the line everywhere. So, but if you have more questions, you can always give us your information and we can contact you directly.
And I just think that, so if I'm sending a family to you for assistance, and let's drop the lottery part. But you're saying in general, it can take 1 to 2 years, for parents to get, assistance or get an apartment or something like that?
Yeah, I mean,
Wow,
that's what
that's a
we,
long
that's what,
time. If I'm in
that's,
dire need, then I shouldn't come to you.
I'm sorry?
If I'm in dire need, the parent is in dire need, then we shouldn't come to you.
Well, you
Like-
can always come to us because we can give you all the resources.
Oh, okay, connect me elsewhere.
Yeah,
And even,
it's not
even,
only, it's not only that, it's not
Oh,
only the
okay.
Housing Connect. Yeah, no, we have other resources.
and
That's what
even
I'm
the-
saying. Every family is different and it has different needs. I
And
can't,
also, do you help families who are in shelter?
and no, we don't help them find shelter, no. Yeah, when we give them resources, we guide them.
Okay.
But we don't have any apartments for rent. We don't have any shelter. We don't provide
And
any.
then I said, do you assist families who are in shelters?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes. Mhm,
Okay, thank you so much.
no problem.
Hi, I have a question.
Sure.
If I want my autistic son who is over 18 to live with me, do I qualify for housing subsidy?
As yes. As a are you would you be his like live-in caregiver?
Yes,
Then yes.
I'm his legal guardian, but I'm related to him though. Can I still be his caregiver and qualify for housing subsidy?
Yeah, you
So
can.
in other words, she wants, if her son comes there, okay, she's gonna be the living caregiver, okay? She's going to be the one to take care of him. So she wants to know, can she be qualified for the subsidy program?
100% yes.
Yeah.
That is an ideal situation. Again, the more support, the better to support the individual independent living, model. Usually then the parent becomes a roommate on paper. So that affects the number of bedrooms, the number of people affects the subsidy. So that might affect the subsidy. It might make the subsidy lower, but absolutely you can live with a roommate. That roommate could be your caregiver, home attendant, family member. So absolutely, yes. I think this was Miss Wang.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Great questions.
Other questions?
Yeah, there's one in Spanish in the chat. So Josefina Martinez,
Mhm.
she's saying, yeah, I see. It says if the individual is living with the family, if they can apply.
Yeah. They can. You have to,
Again, that is an ideal scenario because of that wait time, especially to make sure that somebody's able to, financially support themselves
Support
with the
them.
network of support. That's great. If the person starts in the program with family and decides, hey, my I'm growing, I'm meeting my skills for, independent living, the subsidy goes with the person.
Okay.
So if they choose to then move out, that's great, down the road when, the family and the person supported feels, I think I got this. So that's another option that, and I want to say workaround in terms of the delays in approvals is that if they start at home and then, potentially down the road move out, with the additional supports initially, right? And independent living skills classes, things like that.
So
Let me
Nicole,
try. I'm sorry. Let me
Oh, no,
translate
go
that,
ahead.
Nicole.
Oh.
Señora Josefina, lo que estaba diciendo la señora Nicole es que si su hijo puede aplicar al programa, no importa que esté viviendo con la familia, si, por ejemplo, en un futuro su hijo se quiere mudar, a vivir más independientemente con ayudas, esta ayuda se puede ir con él. ¿Ok? Si usted tiene más preguntas, nos puede dejar su número en el chat y nosotros le llamamos con una intérprete. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Nicole. Okay, so my understanding is if a person is living already at home with the person, right? Now, say the family member, they already in the home and they live with the parent or whatever. Say the parent move out and go to Florida somewhere. Will that person be able to keep that apartment that they are in?
Yes.
Great question. So there's a few scenarios, folks, that parents should really consider. One is that parents can leave. Do they own the apartment? Now they can become landlord. They can have a lease and your child could be your tenant. Some parents do this, right? In terms of, they utilize that money to assist with a mortgage so that that person could have an independent alternative and have their own apartment. If they live with their parents leave and the individual can safely, obviously a reassessment would be done because their support network is now changing. So once, an assessment's done in terms of their ability to live safely, do they have home attendant? Is there a contingency plan, et cetera? Then the budget would be renegotiated based on the change in the number of people. Because again, it's based on bedrooms and the number of people that you have there. Sometimes it's going to be the countable income of the people that you're with that might affect your budget as well. So all of that would have to be renegotiated. So, obviously safety first, and then the numbers would have to be looked at again. But I think it's really something that's great for parents to look at, wherein in some cases they do look to purchase an apartment or to, and become landlord and have the person, their child on a lease and, subsidize that apartment to help offset the cost. So, and we have other scenarios where people, bought their house and the money goes towards mortgage, and the family lives in the home too. So there's a lot of scenarios and you really want to learn about all your options, folks, because some of these programs really can be financially beneficial, for the whole family, to assist in the caring of this person and try to set up some long-term options, and safety alternatives if a certified site is just not a good setting.
No, I want to ask Devon something. I do have a family that they lost their mother and their
Okay.
father a long time ago, but they just lost their mother. But the brother is working, but now the sister is the one that's disabled. Okay. Can I recommend them to your subsidy program to see if you can help them? I mean, they already live in the apartment. My assumption is that they are already on the lease.
Does the sister not, does she have any income at all?
She gets SSI.
SSI.
Yeah.
Do they currently have a any care manager or anything like that?
That we're working on because right now, as far as care managers, care managers is kind of hard to find, but we're at a slowdown
Okay.
with where they're where I refer them to is where I'm at. So there is a halt on the care managers right now.
Can I ask where you referred them to? I'm sorry.
I'm with Tri-County.
Okay.
Maybe we could follow up if it's a one-on-one
Yeah.
case, Javon, and reach out
Mhm.
later. Diane, we could set up a time for her to reach out to you.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
that'll be fine. That'll
All
be
right.
fine.
I can put my email in the chat, and if you want to send me send me an email and then we can start from there?
That'll be fine. That'll be fine.
No problem.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes.
I wanted to know, so I'm currently the housing and transition specialist for the Open Doors Transition Program. So a lot of the people that I work with are in nursing homes or rehabilitation centers. Is this a good program for them as well?
Are they're in mhm.
They're in the nursing home. So some of them a lot of them don't have a home to go back to. Like it's not accessible to them anymore.
Okay.
And then some of them do have homes to go back to, but they would need like modifications.
For the ones that have homes to go back to, then yes, I don't think we correlate with the nursing homes, no.
Okay. So it's not a program for people in nursing home and rehabilitation centers.
No.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, there's one more question in the chat. It says how to determine if where your person with disability is living, if the housing qualifies. My daughter has no ability to cook and lives in residence with a license agreement and provides 2 meals per day, which is run by a Salvation Army.
Does that mean that she doesn't have a kitchen or she just can't cook for herself? I'm sorry, who was that?
Philomena.
Philomena?
Yeah, Philomena, if you want to ask the questions, if you want to, just ask a question here. She absolutely cannot cook.
Oh, she just can't, but she has a kitchen.
Yeah.
It's not that she just can't cook for herself. No
kitchen.
No kitchen. So her apartment wouldn't qualify without a kitchen.
Has to be a furnished apartment. Like it has to
Yeah,
be
it has to be
available.
have a full apartment with it needs a kitchen. So it has to have a kitchen, bedroom.
Folks need access
Yeah.
to utilities.
Even without the ability to cook for herself, she does need a kitchen.
It would need to be a legal dwelling, separate entrance. Let's say if it was, you know, maybe she was on a separate floor from her family and didn't have a kitchen because she shares the kitchen. So all of these scenarios come up and we can kind of walk folks through, but they would, people would always need access to the same things that, everybody else has access to: kitchen, restroom, things of that nature, privacy.
Mona, I'm not sure what situation you're talking about. Do you want to unmute and kind of explain it?
Yes, hello.
Yes.
Yes, I've been reaching out to OPWDD in Brooklyn, New York, about a system for housing, and when they give me somebody, they're gone. So I had a lady that was helping me with assist me with the housing, with the application and everything, and I haven't heard back from nobody from there, and it's been like a month now, and I was requesting for the supervisors, and then calling, and nobody returned no call back yet.
So it's the housing's for you?
Yeah, for my son.
For your son?
Yes.
Hi, is Mona Williams?
Yes.
Hi, this is Linda Irby.
Oh, Miss Irby, hi.
Hi, how are you? I'll give you a call. I'll give you a call after the meeting.
Okay then. All right then.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so if you have any questions or any other, concerns or any other related, with housing or any other programs, I did post the information for our Project Connect line in the chat. I'm gonna post it one more time. You can contact the Project Connect line and they will contact the department, our housing program or our OPWDD rental subsidy program. And they connect to us and we can move forward from there to answer any questions or any concerns. We want to thank you one more time for being here in this presentation. I hope that it was helpful. Thank you so much, Javon, for all the information you provided today. It was very informational. And again, thank you very much for joining this webinar. Thank you very much. Have a good day.